Looks like I'm live for another member spotlight interview. So, how's everybody doing today? Just kind of waiting for people to. Oh, here we go. Gonna bring Kyree on camera. This actually worked out pretty well relative to how clunky and choppy it usually is trying to get somebody to join me on camera. So I can see, hey Jeremy, what's happening, man? I can see that Kyree is being added now, and I suppose it's only a matter of time before his countenance pops up on the screen.
Hello.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
Hold on, just getting my.
We got some back going.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but hold on. You're gonna need to put on some earphones or something.
Okay, let me go.
Does sound like a physical Jeremy.
Is that better at all or no?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. We're starting to get an audience. Hang tight, everybody. We're trying to figure out some. Sounds pretty. Let me see. That change anything? Not really. Hey, Richard. Joe. Good to see everybody. For I assume new. So yeah, Jeremy. I can't get into it. Bear with us.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was starting to sound crazy, but yeah, that was it.
Perfect. We got it now.
All right, cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to put my earphones in and see if I can kill the last of that little feedback. Hang on.
Cool.
Here we go. Michael says boom. Jeremy says better. This is good. Hey, look at that. We did it, man.
I think we got it.
Now, let me finally say, dude, good to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All right. So, this is a member spotlight interview. They're pretty casual. They're pretty laid back. I asked you to be on it because I've been watching you for a while in my feed. And interestingly, right before this interview, you said something that kind of brought together everything I had been noticing about you. You said 90% of my posts don't have anything to do with my business. And I couldn't agree more. You said positioning is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said something to the effect of, if you decide to work with me, it's going to be more because you know who I am than because of what I do.
Yep.
That is so solid, man. And that is so true to my own experience, my own approach. I absolutely love that. And I love that you're aware of it. That's what I think is really cool. So let's just start there. You talk a lot about people's perception of you because of your age. What's that been like for you? Because you're clearly real bright, and it's not just bright. You have a keen insight of human nature that maybe somebody would not expect. Are you in your 30s?
No, no, not even close.
So you're in your 20s?
I'm 24.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
even maybe makes the case all the more, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about where this kind of insight on human nature came from.
Yeah. Really came from, it started off with a lot of introspection. It would
Sure.
start off, I've just started listening probably in the last month to a guy named David Goggins. And I don't promote any influencers. I dislike most influencers to a certain degree. This guy, I noticed a very similar pattern with him and myself is I noticed things I didn't like about myself and I started beating the shit out of those things. Like,
Yeah.
just in my own head, I was like, okay, I hate this piece. Like, I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to change that? And my life became obsessed with changing that. I also knew I was 19 when I started doing this. I also realized I didn't have the perspective just in my own short amount of time. I had a lot of experience for a 19-year-old. I'd gone through a lot for being 19.
Sure.
But I realized that I needed to kind of borrow the experience from other people sometimes.
Ah.
So I started interviewing people. I've interviewed, I want to say it's like 889 people so far. And most of them were from when I was 19 until I was 21. All I was looking for was perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do with the interviews.
Right.
I didn't interview, most people I didn't interview with an agenda. Some people, like, their job title is why I interviewed them, their perspective is why I interviewed them. I interviewed like 3 death row inmates. I interviewed former politicians, doctors, lawyers, Buddhist monks. Like, I interviewed a lot of different people, just wanted to gain perspective. And what I realized was, not only did I gain perspective of myself, I now have a pretty good grasp on just humans. Like, I can honestly say I intimately know almost 900 people. I realized how rare that was in the world.
Yeah.
And how that gave me a different view of not only myself, but just how we all interact with each other, how we feel about ourselves, and what even like a little comment somebody makes on Facebook says about that person in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So I still am obsessed with human nature. So I like to elicit responses that teach me more about people. That's what most of my statuses are geared towards.
I see that. I agree with it. And I mean, I agree with your own assessment of your own work, but also more than that, I really love that approach. What do you think that the advent of social media, who or which everybody wants to criticize, right? Everybody wants to bash it, and there's plenty to bash. But I have this emerging idea that the advent of social media has opened up a possibility for people to rapidly up-level their awareness. Like, and not just their awareness, but it's like it's created a wormhole to development.
Yeah, we hit light speed. I
Yeah.
think that was what it did.
Yeah. Yeah. And so not everybody is seeing that or accessing it. But
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I had a wide circle of like acquaintances. And wide enough that I feel like I can postulate that there weren't that many people. I felt like I was the only one in my 20s who had any of this sort of like asking these questions and thinking along the lines that you're just describing thinking. But now, even though there are the vast majority don't do it, I'm seeing people like you, Jeremy, who's on this call, Jeremy Wenger, or if I'm getting your last name wrong, Jeremy, I apologize, but he's young and he's very sort of sharp with savvy, not sharp, savvy, right?
Yep.
Understanding human nature and stuff. I've got a guy I follow, and I don't follow many people either, by the way. I love what you said about influencers. But one guy who's really started to impress me is a very young guy named Mark Lack.
Okay.
Same thing, right? He's only in his 20s. He's got a very keen understanding of human nature. And I guess so then coming full circle to my original point, it seems like if you're able to perceive it, the advent of social media has somehow created a catalyst for people to sort of rocket up in their understanding of themselves and other people.
Yeah, I think what you said it perfectly. We kind of hit velocity. Like now with social media, you can rapidly expand or you can rapidly contract. And I see that the same thing where there's people who kind of social media has become a vortex for them. It's kind of like swallowed them into just this bubble of I'm only seeing things on my timeline that I hate, that I despise, that are, negative comments. And my whole view of that is you've attracted that. Like your timeline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When people complain about the Facebook's algorithm and, whatever you want to complain about, you're attracting that thing. The thing is built to give you more of what you consume. If you consume negative, it's going to give you more of it. If you consume positive, it's going to give you more of it. Okay, so that's what check this out. I think you really struck something there, right? Because internally, you were just saying that it's you attracted whatever you're seeing, and of course, you probably know that internally, we literally are mechanisms for doing just that, right? We reinforce what we expect to see. And therefore, our filters shift and tune to only filter, what we expect to see. Consciously, we can process. The numbers are absurd, like 400 bits of information a second. Subconsciously, it's like 400,000 or something, right? So it's just this ridiculous variance in what we can process. And so we have to establish filters. And what is so funny to me that I never realized before is social media acts as an external set of those same filters. Yeah. And it's a very good picture of what you consume on the inside. It's absolutely accurate because it's objective in a sense. So I think in that sense, it'd be safe to say social media kind of exposes who you are. When I see people complain on their timelines, it exposes you're probably complaining in your real life as well. Like when all you see is negativity on your timeline, I know that that's what you consume. I know that that's what you like, comment, and share. Yeah, man. That's going to tell me a little bit about what your life looks like. I'm not going to assume that you are that exact one post, but if I start seeing a pattern with you and your posts and your comments on other people's things, I start painting a picture of you. Yeah. And I'm at least safe in believing that picture is going to be true over time. What you've got is a statistically solid framework, representation that you can use to then model and predict most of the behavior of that person. Yep. Now, do you find that as funny as I do? I love it. I got to tell you, that's now that we've put it in those words, that is hilarious to me, man. Yeah. Like that is crazy funny that social media really functions as a almost at the level of AI, right? Yeah. But not quite. But the algorithm is so sophisticated that it's just become this externalized version of our own biases and own. People don't realize you're feeding it. Yeah. So you're feeding it. When you do complain about it, you're telling it what to do. This algorithm is nothing without your action. Like the algorithm can sit there, and if you don't consume anything, if you don't like, comment, or share any piece of content, your timeline is just going to be super random. It's going to be all over the place. Yeah. You're the one who's telling this thing how to behave. That is so funny, man. So when you hate what you see, fix it. Yeah. You have control over this thing. Yeah. I bet that you guys tuning in who know Kyree and or know myself didn't expect this to go here. Yeah, man, that is both hilarious and really kind of awesome. Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about trending hashtags? No, not at all. Just one. Do you know where I'm going with this? Just my hashtag. Yeah. That was that made it onto a T-shirt, didn't it? Yeah, made it onto a few T-shirts.
That's what I mean. That made it into that hit the status of it gets to be on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's a Kyree thing now, and I'm hoping to have like a pocket full of them
Yeah,
in the next few years.
yeah, that
You
one
just
is
sometimes you strike gold online,
yeah,
and
that
that
one
was
is
one of
good.
them. Yeah.
Now, do you mind, even though our discussion from yesterday or the day before is super unformed? Do you mind if I let the cat out of the bag here?
Not at all. Just
Cool.
as long as we understand it's super rough draft.
Super rough draft, yeah.
Yep.
So you guys listening, Kyree and I are talking about just throwing a party, just so that we can meet our friends in person, because it's for me. And then I found out for Kyree, he agrees. It's almost brutal that we can't hang out with a lot of the people that we interact with so often, and we can't see you physically in person. And so we're talking about, like, for me, my criteria is if I hit my income goals between now and like midsummer, then I'm going to be all in. And Kyree and I are talking about just throwing a big party that everyone's invited to.
Mm-hmm.
How would you guys feel about that? Joy, Gail, Sean, let me go back through here. Jim, Nathan, Jeremy, who else we got here? Michael, Gwenda. You get the point, guys. You guys are tempting me to move to San Diego. Well, Jim, neither of us actually live in San Diego, but you should move there anyway because it's amazing. And that's probably where we'd throw the party. But what I was thinking is I feel like there should be shirts available for people at the party with said hashtag on them.
We can definitely order some.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So at what point did it stop being, I would call your approach a fairly deep observation of human nature. Mm-hmm. And at what point did it start actually being marketing, if you even call it that?
It's for me, I call it positioning.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Marketing is what I do for business, is
Right.
what generates my income.
Yeah.
And what I said was 90% of my income comes straight from my personal profile on Facebook. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a big piece of my business, but I call it all positioning. Like, unless I'm directly saying, here, come work with me in some capacity, which directly saying it, that may be 1 out of 30 or 40 posts that I put.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tells people to directly come work with me. Everything else is just my positioning. Here's
Right.
who I am. Here's how I'm choosing to show up in the world.
Yeah.
If you align with that, then are you now qualified to hear about marketing.
Right.
Like,
right.
from my view, you have to have consumed some of my other pieces of content
Yeah.
before you and I even get into the conversation of me marketing your services
Yeah.
or your products.
Yeah.
Because if I don't align with you, if I know you don't align with me, I'm not interested in working with you.
Yeah.
So I'd rather set up kind of a barrier and say, you need to kind of survive maybe 5 or 10 of my statuses.
Right.
And not want to kick me in the teeth before we even talk about
Right,
us working
man.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't know this, but in my own evolution as a coach and a teacher, I struggled with falling victim to I call them the carnival barkers, right? All the super loud marketing people, basically, who are just yelling that you have to have this blueprint and this strategy, and these 7 weird, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
When
7 steps to bullshit.
Yeah, 7 steps to go fuck yourself. When I first came into the space, I was struck by all the bright lights, like I imagine many people were.
Yep.
And I found that it really, really grated on like my soul, like the core of who I am. As I started to just, without being aware of it, show up as myself, and very similar to what your approach is, people started to gravitate toward me. For a long time, I didn't realize that's what was happening. Mm-hmm. But I, on some level, sensed a correlation between just show up as yourself and when you feel it, remind people of what you do. And on the other side here, what I'm seeing is people are coming to me and asking me to work. That has, over time, evolved into something that I now am tentatively calling open, don't close. right? Because I know that especially the people that I really like, they're what I would characterize as transformational coaches. And you know what that is. It's people who feel called to take their own life mess and turn it into a powerful teaching, coaching service for other people.
Yeah.
Those people painting with a broad brush do not like sales. They don't like shifting out of that heart space, that space of giving. And so I have been developing or maybe clarifying a way to teach them how to do exactly what you're talking about here. So I guess what I'm wondering from you that may serve people listening who fit that kind of that criteria, what would you don't need to pitch, do you?
Never.
And me either. But that's only a recent development over the last
Yes.
6 months or so.
Yeah. Mine's been since about September.
And
August,
so,
September.
So the thing that I really notice about, one of the things I really notice about you that I like is you never, and guys, I want you to pay attention to this, you never sound desperate. You know, a la the hashtag, right?
Yeah. It's something. Yeah, it's something that like because when people do sound desperate, it oozes out of their status.
Yeah.
Like you could just watch it drip from their status or their post or their hey, everybody, I'm going to be vulnerable right now, but I'm going to pitch you at the end.
Right? Yeah.
Like
vulnerability post.
I know your business is suffering. As soon as I see somebody do that, I'm like, oh, you're not getting enough sales. Oh, you're just not that great at selling because you're focused on selling. Again, like you said, open, don't close.
Yeah.
I practice and I preach to other people as well. I want you to try selling people without closing. Like literally, I'm not going to bring up pricing. When I get on the phone with the prospect, I don't bring up pricing and I don't ask how we work together first.
Yeah.
I provide value enough until they ask. I'll sit on the phone with you for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I feel like we're going towards like in the right direction, I'll sit on the phone with you as long as it takes for us to say, for you to say, how do we work together?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how do we make this happen?
Yep.
So it can take an hour and a half, but
sure.
I was just telling my girlfriend yesterday too, I closed a $6,000 sale in 12 minutes the other day without closing.
Yeah.
I opened up the conversation. They've talked to me a little bit before. It's a husband and wife team, and they were wanting to grow her brand. They basically wanted like brand consulting, like branding, positioning. How do we show up online?
Yeah.
And we talked for 5 minutes, and I said, hey, look, here's my take on it. You guys have seen my content before, so you know my regular take on these things.
Yeah.
And I just start providing value strictly for them and say, okay, with your brand, I think this is what we can do. And I leave it open. There was about a 15-second silence.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, how many hours of your time do you think that would take? I told them, well, how much would that cost? I told them about $6,000. They're like, yeah, just send me an invoice.
Yeah.
Like 12 minutes and we're done.
Yeah.
I don't have to close. I don't have to feel the pressure of like, oh, when do I bring up how do we work together?
Yeah.
I provide.
I love
which
that.
90% of my sale is done before we even get on the phone. When you see my content,
underline, highlight, italicize that.
Yeah.
That. I just 1 second, Kyree. One of the people, Jim, on this call has been in my orbit for a long time, and he perfectly fits this. So I want to just like literally, Jim, just for you, buddy, I want to stop and expand this for a minute. I know Jim is from the heart. He has a strong desire to teach and to help, and he doesn't like sales.
Yep.
So I want Jim just really pay attention to this, because for every time you hear a message like this, which is true, Kyree's proof of it, I'm proof of it, you're going to hear about 1,000 messages about how you need to learn to close. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
hard sale closer.
Yeah, the hard core stuff.
Maybe throw up.
So Jim, you're our avatar, buddy. Just really, really like, and everybody, it is absolutely true that if you know how to do what Kyree calls positioning and what I call opening, which is just being clear on who you are and showing up that way and being transparent and being whatever real is to you, and knowing and trusting that there are people out there that are going to relate to it. You really don't have to get into that icky kind of, okay, well, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I make sure all these steps were included in my pitch? Like, none of that crap.
I couldn't, like, when you're explaining this, I'm like, I couldn't imagine having to think through that whole process.
God,
I would stress myself out.
I've done it so many times.
Like, it sounds super stressful.
Yeah.
What I explain to people with marketing and sales, and then also like with spirituality, is I kind of caveman myself into this stuff. Mm-hmm. I've never bought a course on this stuff. I've never heard anybody tell me what to do. I've just always done what's made sense to me.
Yeah.
And at first it was because I couldn't afford to buy even a $97 course at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now it's to the point where it's just like, I've figured things out pretty well on my own.
Yeah.
Let me just continue to do that. As long as I keep the pulse on my marketplace and the people who need what I have, I've found that I have everything I need. I don't need to, and I'm not saying courses and mentorship and coaching isn't amazing.
Right.
Because for some people, that's what it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was just like, let me exchange that for, I'm just going to get disgustingly interested in how we operate.
Yeah.
From a human standpoint.
Yeah.
And just tune into that. As soon as I'm able to tune into that, it's easy. Like, it became easy once I took the pressure off my shoulders of, I got to learn how to sell to people. I have to learn how to open conversations.
Same here. Yeah. And interestingly, like, one of the things that I would call kind of my area of expertise is crafting your personal story. Mm-hmm. And one of the most powerful things I ever did was just start talking openly about how challenging it was for me to actually write my story. You know, and the people that really connect with me can relate to this, but I would have these incredibly potent physical responses to trying to tell the truth. Mm-hmm. Because the truth was so sort of, you know, tumultuous and had so much upheaval in it, and you know, abuse and drama and all this stuff. And what was fascinating is, as soon as I started just sharing, I hate to say from the heart, but from the heart, you know, about the adrenaline surges and how my head would get light and fuzzy and how I couldn't think and how I'd get exhausted, people started immediately responding to that.
They relate.
Yeah. And the thing is,
human.
Yeah. And the thing is, no matter what it is that you have as your experience that you'd like to share with other people through your coaching, it's going to have your version of those things in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that one of the things for me that I really like about watching you is it validates me. You know what I mean? It really deeply validates my own approach to see another person doing it. And, you know, do you feel like you have a satisfactory level of quality of life and success in your life?
Yeah.
See what I mean? Yeah. So that's pretty awesome, man. Who else do we have jumping in? Leanne Mallet, I want to say, hey. Laura Price, hey, how are you guys? Thank you for tuning in with us. I assume you know, but I'm speaking with Kyree Oliver. And you guys didn't hear, but we're going to throw a big party for you later.
There you go. Drop it in there. One of my big things, especially like when I have people, and I thank you again for commending me on how I operate online, is, and I posted about this, I think yesterday, I don't want to become extraordinary to anybody. Like online, I want people to, like, my favorite type of day is like getting up, play with my dogs, maybe go shooting in the desert, and go to like one of my favorite restaurants with my friends who have nothing to do with entrepreneurship. Like I don't live this crazy out of touch, extravagant life.
Yeah.
I live an amazing, like, I love the type of life I live. Yeah. But I realize once I become extraordinary to you, you excuse yourself from being able to accomplish what I've accomplished.
Yes. And
that's something that's been very difficult. And that's something I try very openly and honestly to say, look, I'm not very different than most 24-year-olds out there, except for how this works. Like, my lifestyle isn't very much different. Yes, I have my own house and like I can afford things that most 24-year-olds can't.
Yeah.
But I'm also not super, like, I'm not buying the big crazy cars. I'm not traveling all over the world all the time. I like being at home. I live across the street from an elementary school. I like having a regular life. Yeah. Because I like being normal, I've realized that it's given, or it's taken away people's excuse not to accomplish what I've accomplished. If I come to you and I say, hey, look, you have just the same tools as I have. Yeah. And I'm still doing this. You now, in some ways, it almost takes away your ability to say, oh, I couldn't possibly do that because of X, Y, Z.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about kind of demystifying
Yes.
that hero status as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love that you brought that up, man, because my day-to-day life is mostly because I work at home like you do. You
Yep.
know, it's mostly puttering around my house, you know, and I've got work sweats and I've got not work sweats. And
I'm wearing Christmas jammies right now.
yeah, exactly. You guys are just gonna have to guess whether I'm wearing pants or not. But you know, I do find I travel a lot more than I used to, but it's not extravagant for the most part. It's because I need to.
Yep.
And I think that's a very important thing for people. I think the Lambo laptop bling bling thing is it's going to appeal to a certain segment,
Yeah.
obviously, but by and
Not
large,
my kind
though,
of people, though.
same here. And by and large, it does create a sort of a I'm the hero, you're not kind of a vibe.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that's what makes them purchase from. That's, I think, me and those people, or you and I and those people, I just have an opposite way of approaching it.
yeah,
Their approach is, you couldn't possibly have the life I have, so
right.
buy from me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm saying you can absolutely access everything I have access to, so come buy from me or come work with me in some capacity. Each one, I guess, has its own validity.
yeah.
I like the way I come from it because it's not, I'm not trying to exclude people because they can't, like, yes, I can go rent a Lamborghini. One, I
Right.
can't fit in a Lamborghini. I'm 6'6". I don't fit in those cars. But like, I get it. Like, I've thought in my own head, yes, I can go buy a ticket to Greece and shoot a shitload of video content
Yeah,
and have it be super credible and XYZ. Like, yes, it'd be amazing to go over there, but I probably would even forget to bring a camera. Like,
yeah,
if I'm going to travel, I'm going to experience.
yeah,
I'm not doing it thinking about what type of content can I squeeze out of this.
yeah. I like that, man. I love the validation of concept of like there's not just one way that this whole working online thing has to look, you know.
It looks so different for everybody too.
Right, and that's just the thing, right? um, I don't need your life. I don't need his life or her life. I just need a good life. You know.
So that's something too that I and the message is mostly for younger people, because I'll even have people my age sometimes of not jealous, but a little bit envious of like what I'm able to do. I don't have a 9 to 5 job. I'm not struggling to pay my bills anymore. And what I explained to a lot of them is, you don't want to have to have gone through what I went through to become this person.
Right.
Like, you see what it looks like right now, but you don't see the 20-hour days.
Yeah.
You don't see. I used to live in a trailer for 2.5 years that I literally couldn't stand up straight in this trailer.
Right.
I like the life that I had to live in order to become this person.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Right.
So be happy being the regular 24-year-old. Be happy having the 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how to move out of your parents' house. Like, those struggles, I promise you, are so small compared to what you're going to experience later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I now experience at 24, I experience probably more 30 to 35-year-old problems in my life. Having to take care of other people. Yeah. Oh, my friend can't pay their rent. How do I help them out?
Yeah.
Like, I've upgraded my level of problem, but don't be too quick. And I tell most people my age, don't be too quick to try to attract those higher level problems in your life.
Yeah.
Because they're scarier. Like, they're not the normal, oh, my girlfriend just broke up with me after 2 weeks. What do I do now?
Right. Yeah.
I can't go out on a bender all week because I have international clients. Sometimes I got to take a call at 4:00 in the morning. Like, I have different responsibilities that you probably don't want at my age.
Yeah.
But I'm the person who's built to be this.
Right.
So let me be a good example, but definitely don't be envious of it. Like, don't make it, you want the good things that I have and not have to have gone through the shit.
Right. And, you know, that kind of segues into a little bit more of a metaphysical piece of this discussion, which is that, and people hear this a lot. I'd like to open it up so that it becomes a little more real and a little less, whatever, fucking bullshit, you know. Your happiness is going to be determined by your perception, 99%, 90%, whatever, and between 1 and 10% by what actually comes your way. And even then, the perception starts to influence what comes your way over time.
Very much so.
And so I'm trying to say, you are what you focus on, or any of that sort of catchphrase stuff, in a way that's more meaningful to people. And I bring it up because it's abundantly clear that you aren't having a life that you really enjoy in spite of having fucked up perceptions. You know what I mean? A lot of it has to do with the way that, and I can tell from this conversation, the way that you have chosen to see things. Right.
And the step before that is realizing that it is a choice.
Yeah, of course. That's the first step.
Realizing it is a choice how I choose to see things, and then from there making that choice over and over again.
Did you find that there was, or maybe still is, a period of, I'm going to call it thought training, to be able to take your perceptions to where you want them to be? And you know what I mean? Like instead of the inmates running the asylum, which would be most of our thoughts before we train them, to sort of take control of that. Talk a little bit about your version of that process.
It was all introspection. There's a period of my life, probably about 2 years, where there was just a lot of chaos. Like, I went through really, really just fucked up things, and none of them self-inflicted. That they made it so much more confusing.
Yeah.
I've never had problems with drugs or alcohol or partying too much or anything like that. There was just, like, honestly, just chaos and, like, craziness that I'd gone through for a few years just in a row. Like, things just kept hitting. And I was looking externally the entire time for the answer of, like, what's going to calm this shit down. Yeah. Obviously, to get to the point where I realized, like, oh, I'm the only one who's able to do this. Yeah. At the point it was, I was the only one who, like, I trusted enough to be able to handle the chaos. Like, I can't put this burden on anybody else. Okay, I just got to shoulder this shit and figure it out. Yeah. And so for me, and this is that guy David Goggins that I was talking about, I found out just 2 days ago, he does the same practice that I used to do, which was just literally just staring at myself in the mirror. I took an hour, probably 3 or 4 days a week, put my phone aside, turn the TV off, and just sit there and stare at yourself. Yeah. And you meet not only the person who you're hiding from the world, you also kind of meet a lot of the shit that you're hiding from yourself. Yeah. From your childhood, from past relationships, from whatever's gone on before. What I realized was, as soon as I was able to address that and legitimately and genuinely address that, I then had the power of choice, and I say, okay, now that I understand myself, I almost say on a disgustingly deep level, like I was able to fall in love with the shit pieces of myself. Yeah. Once you get to that point, you're so much less susceptible to the outside interference. Yeah. You're kind of just like, and it's not even building a wall up, because I thought that that's what I'd done at first. It's the opposite. It's not building up a wall. It's basically what I explain it to people is, it's letting your king out of your castle. So I'm not holed up inside my keep anymore. I'm letting my king out on the front gates and say, look, here's everything. Here's who I am. Yeah. Here's all of it. Accept it, don't accept it, but you can't attack it because I'm right here. Yeah. Like, I realized that bringing my king out of the castle was my protection. It was the ability to say, here's everything. Therefore, it's kind of like you can't use any of everything out there. Yeah. I'm willing to talk about the religion, the politics, the fucked up shit that I've been through. Yeah. I'm willing to talk about it all and expose myself to it all. Yeah. Therefore, the outside can't really touch you at that point. I like to tell a story of my best friend in the 7th and 8th grade. He was, even by the standard of 7th and 8th grade boys, he was short. He had a big old nose, and he was skinny, and he somehow managed to be short and gawky, which is usually reserved for tall, skinny kids, right? Rough. His name was James DeRowan. And James taught me a life lesson without knowing he was doing it, by basically doing exactly what you're talking about. And he was doing it in middle school. You could not touch the guy, because he would, if no matter what you said about him, he'd make a better joke about himself. Yep. Yeah. And James was, in my school, it was
even more click heavy than most schools because it was a shitty neighborhood and it was racially segregated and blah, 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 all whatever. Feel sorry for me, you know? And James was pretty much loved by everyone.
Yeah.
And it was exactly that. You couldn't phase him, man. You know, and it was because he did what you're calling bring your king out of the castle. And he was just like, look, you got nothing on me that I'm not already willing to just totally make fun of myself over.
Yep. And I think that one is an incredible example.
Yeah.
I'd say the adult or maybe more matured or sophisticated version of that is I respect myself so much that you wouldn't even feel comfortable disrespecting me because of how much respect you see I have for myself. Like you would feel dirty trying to disrespect me.
I love that, man.
Because of the and it's kind of like to teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
You can tell I love myself deeply and like just intimately.
Yeah.
As soon as you understand that, you feel gross even trying to impede on that. And you look at my statuses, I say some crazy shit sometimes.
Yeah.
You have yet to see somebody come attack me on a status or come outwardly try to be a piece of shit to me on a status because you see how much I respect myself and how much, not I demand respect, but I command respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I demand it for myself. I command it from other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe the more grown-up version of what your friend was doing is
it's the evolved.
As a kid, it's like you want to self-deprecate further than the other person will deprecate.
Yeah.
But I think the grown-up version is I'm going to respect myself so much more than you possibly could.
Right.
So that you feel dirty if you wanted to disrespect me.
That's
around the people I surround myself with. Because I've had people kind of try to jab at friends of mine on my statuses too. And I shut shit down quick. This is my platform. I view my statuses as my stage. Like this is where I'm showing up in the world. I feel protective over the people who are in there too.
Sure.
So if there's somebody who comes in and says some craziness to somebody, I'm shutting it down fast and I start building a rapport with whoever's on my status.
Yeah.
One, that person knows they can't come in and do that again. The person who was commenting out of like genuine interest also feels protected and secured by me. They respect me more now. Yeah. I'm now commanding their respect without having to tell them, hey, respect me.
Yeah. I love that, man. So at what point did all of this synthesize into realizing that you have like actual tangible services you can provide for people?
You know, what's interesting is I don't provide any of it yet. Like as a business, I don't run my business. All the shit that we've talked about so far is none of my income. Like I don't make money off of this stuff yet. Eventually, like, yes, the personality of Kyree will grow to a point where I can build the business off of that. But right now, all my income's from marketing. And we've spent maybe 15 seconds on marketing. This other stuff is just who I am and how I'm choosing to show up. It's also me collecting data for when I do bring out programs on self-respect, on how to network with people. Because
interesting.
People have no idea how to network when you go to an event or go to somewhere. Me kind of, it'll be a lot of me trying to outline what's just naturally occurring for me. As I get those honed in, I can then present them to other people and say, here's what we could have done in conversation. Now I can bring it to you in a course that everybody can buy, that everybody can use.
Interesting.
But as far as right now, it's all done for free.
But I mean, okay, that's very interesting to me. Certainly, the way that you show up, and I'm not going to use the authenticity word because you know as well as I that it used to mean one thing, now it means another.
It's dead now.
Yeah, it's dead now. Exactly.
We killed that word.
The O-ring is just blown out of it.
Yes.
It's like a Tijuana hooker on layover.
Amen. Jesus.
But obviously the sort of strategy of non-strategy of how you just show up as yourself informs the kind of people that are attracted to your work. Does it also permeate your approach to your work, or would you just say your work is just fundamentals of marketing?
No, so all of my marketing is around human behavior.
Yes, that's what I thought.
I'm not a numbers driven person. I'm not a metrics driven person. I don't like analyzing data. What I do enjoy is human interaction, human behavior. And that's why part of my marketing has shifted. I definitely still have my done for you clients which is the most of my income, is I'm running their ads for them and I handle it all. I've opened up a consulting and also like a branding and brand positioning side to help the people who need maybe a better understanding of the human nature and human understanding, human behavior within their marketing.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to merge those two worlds, but the only reason I can continue to market is because I can tie it back in my head to human behavior. If it was all about numbers, I would have quit day 2.
Yeah, and that's what I think I was looking for. I mean, I get that. It's a technical job done by a non-techie person, right? Yeah.
I still don't understand all the marketing acronyms. I don't like you put me in a room full of marketers, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's interesting because more and more, I feel like what I do is actually a unique spin on something that is probably 70% messaging and positioning and 30% actual marketing, because the big promise is I'll draw your story out of you. I'll teach you how to tell it in a way that literally brings tears to the audience. And from that, you'll get clients.
Yep.
And so I think anytime you attach, you'll get clients to the end of it, in some way or another, you're now in branding or marketing.
I see it's like hiding the medicine in the dog tree.
Absolutely.
Like, you'll get clients from it. Here's the dog tree. And then I'm going to give you the actual, here's how to tell your story is the medicine.
Yeah.
But I have to hide it behind and I do the same thing for my marketing. Hey, I've generated 35, almost $36 million for my clients in Facebook ads. But what you're really getting is a better understanding of human interaction, human connection within your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have to hide it behind the big metric that everybody's going to love.
Right. Yeah. And so when you do start to get that better understanding, the cool thing is it changes the DNA of how you approach doing the business, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's very cool, man. I think let's just circle back a little bit and let's talk publicly with the audience about why you were open to the idea of exploring this idea of just a party with me, because I think that was cool. I want to tell them first, I have been having this idea, and I'm like 2019 for me is all about acting on my instincts or whatever. But I've been having this idea very strong that I just want to have a party. It doesn't have a marketing angle. It doesn't have a speaking angle. It doesn't have an angle, unless the angle is I want to hang out with some of you guys in person. And the weirdest thing happened, like total intuition, total gut check. I'm not making this up. I'm not saying this to flatter Kyree. And we don't really even know each other. And that's what's so cool about this.
No, this is our first time talking.
Yeah. My gut was just like, ask him if he wants to be part of this. And it wouldn't shut up until I finally reached out to him. And then he asked a few questions and he was like, yeah, man, that sounds great. So I personally get a huge kick out of that. You know,
it just works.
Yeah, totally. What do you want people to get out of the experience? Assuming everything that needs to be assumed in order for that to happen, what do you want people to get out of the experience?
It's deeper level connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, and we were talking before, it was like following somebody, commenting on statuses back and forth is like, that's one level of connection. Like, I feel like I know you to a certain degree when we're able to do that. Then when we get on a video like this, or we get on a Zoom call or Skype call, that's another level. Like, I have another level of understanding after I see your mannerisms, after I see how you interact with me, how we take on each other's energy and kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
In person is just the next, I'd say, natural step to that. Is the people I've met and I've done video calls with, when I meet them in person, it feels like the natural transition. Oh, this is just what we're supposed to do. Yeah. We're all supposed to, like, if we connect online, we're supposed to meet each other eventually. Yeah. Why not facilitate that for tens or hundreds of people eventually at the same time? Yeah. And most of them, I think most of these parties or events come with an agenda. You look at like trafficking conversions for marketing. You like Russell Brunson and his events and all like the big name events all come with, we're going to sell you something at the end of it.
Yeah.
There's yet to be, I think, on a bigger scale, meetups to the point where it's just like, let's come and enjoy each other and really get to know and understand each other in person.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that aspect.
Me too. And one thing I will make a promise right here publicly. We're not going to sell you anything at the end. It's by the way, you guys who are tuned in or who catch this later, how does that sound to you? Does that sound like that would be cool to just get a chance to spend a good stretch of time with your internet friends, you know, with no agenda but to strengthen connections? Because I gotta tell you, that really excites me.
Anybody who does try to sell at the event will have me giving the
there we go.
What the fuck are you doing face in the back of the room.
We got to start circulating that great picture of you holding the sledgehammer.
Yes. Like, this isn't the place or the time.
Yeah. In fact,
trying to sell.
I'm brainstorming now. I think that when we start talking about this thing, one of the pieces of the positioning is you don't get to pitch.
No, and if you do start pitching, and one of the moderators of the event hears about it, we get to call you out in front of everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and make you wear a funny hat.
Yes, and like a dunce cap, and go stand in the corner.
This is getting better and better, man.
Yes, I'm behind that 100%.
All right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much. It was everything I knew it would be, honestly, getting to talk to you in person. I just really value what you're doing. Well, maybe it's more the way you're doing it. I don't know. But
either one.
I'm feeling it.
I appreciate it.
I'm definitely feeling it, man. And I'm glad that you let me just sort of throw you into the group so we could have this call. Guys, he's in the group now. Reach out, connect with him. Like everybody who I kind of vibe with, he's accessible, you know, so this is just another, it's like that old song from Sesame Street, who are the people in your neighborhood?
Yep.
Well, Kyree's one of the people in your neighborhood.
Here we are.
Hey, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Kyree, thank you, my man. And we will, of course, you know, keep connecting and keep talking.
Definitely. No, thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely, man. All right, gang.